So YouTube, as you maybe have seen on my other videos, if it's been released now, I don't know at this point, is that I got myself a TIG welder, and therefore I need to grind some tungsten to have the correct angle and be pointed at the right way. So I have done that in the beginning with a classic bench grinder. I used this one only for the tungsten grinding. But the thing is that as you can see, the wheels are because the tungsten is so hard, it's eaten up fairly fast, and you need to exchange the wheels at some point, and they are also a bit rough in the stones. So I was looking on different websites and so on for getting a diamond wheel. So getting something to that can hold a longer time and be a better grind on the tungsten. But when looking at the prices, it was not cheap to get a diamond wheel. This was easy 1,000 Danish kroner in the price. So I was a little reluctant to go there, but it seems that whatever I looked at, it will be in that range of the price. So instead of this one, I'll put this aside. I got myself another one. So seen in the I think what's called in US the Craigslist, the used buy and sell papers and so on, and this was actually in buy and sell stuff forum on Facebook, that someone advertised a tungsten grinder. And the price for this one was around a little over 2,000 Danish kroner for me to get. So in the long term, I think this was a better and more suitable option for me, instead of buying the wheel for the bench grinder, and it feels a lot, and then grinding on the tungsten is not super good. I saw this one, and for the price, I think okay, it will be a lot better, and I will be happy for it. And as a beginner of welding, I'll often have to grind my tungstens. It is Neutrix. I don't know how to say that correctly. It's coming in many different brandings. This one is made, not made, but branded by the Danish Migatronic, and they call it a green pointer. I don't know what the green point is, but it's Migatronic is a Danish company. They're making Migatronic. They're making good welders, and I guess some of the best ones there is. And they have just rebranded this one for them. I have seen this one in many different names on the internet. But I think the primary name is Neutrix. That's the main brand name for it. what it is a, let's take it out here. It's a cheap, I don't know if it's cheap, but it's I have found what it's really is, but it is a standard router where they have taken apart all the things they don't need and then added onto this 8mm shaft a disc in here, if you can see the point there, and then this house and it's bolted on with this one, so it's clamping around the head on the router here. So for this part, I guess you can get if it burns off someday, you can get almost any cheap router with a 8mm shaft and then mount this on top of it, and then it will work again. The concept of this one is that in there you have a diamond disc that is looking like this. I don't know the size of it, it's 4 centimeters or something, and then and coated on one side with diamonds, and yeah, so that sits in here in the head. So the idea is that you have tungstens with this one. Take the tungsten. You put in the tungsten here. Oh, wrong side. And then you put in the tungsten, and it's you're turning the handle, and it grinding the tungsten at the correct angle. To get it to grind on the correct angle and at the correct distance, there's a number of things you need to be aware of. The first thing is that this, let's take this tungsten out. This one has a small collet, and there's one for each size, so for 1.6 and 2.4 and 3.2 millimeters. So you have to use the sleeve and change them when you're grinding another tungsten. You can get more sizes, but this is what is coming with the kit. You can get the 2 millimeters, 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, and 4 millimeter, and then the normal tungsten sizes also. So this is the handle for it. Place it there. So in here there's a diamond coated wheel that's cutting the tungsten. In order to cut it at the correct angle, you have here, you can see this can turn. This so this will turn the angle against the wheel, and you can lock it here by turning this locking screw, and it sits. So you can easily on the scale here see that like 45 degrees, that's at that location. You can see each step is 5 degrees, and they have marked 15, 30, 60 and 120 and 180. Yeah. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 180. 1 So you lock that down, and then you can put in, and it will grind it at the correct angle. One thing to note that's not obvious is that to use the wheels as best as possible, maybe I think there's a drawing in here. To use the disc and wear it down, best possible way to save your cost on the wheel, the machine can be placed on 3 locations. So I started at the outside and then moving in, because this makes sense to me on wheels that you're getting the surface, getting from the outside in. So I started at the outside, and then you can go to the center mark and then to the inner mark. So you're using most of the disc and not only a thin strip of the disc in one area. And the way you're doing the chains here is that you can see there's this plate that's not in, there's a hole in the plate and it's not located in the center. So it's this plate that's here. Sorry for the camera. You can see there's this plate down here. By loosening this, you can lift this up, turn it, and then you can move this in. So now it's in the, I know it's a bit hard to see, now it's in the center location. Because you can see the disc is not on the same on each side. So now it's in the center location, and if I wanted to go into the inner location, I turn this to here, and then so now it's the inner. So you can see this disc here. By turning that in 3 different ways, you move where it's using the tungsten on the disc. I think that's a fairly clever idea. So it's saving me the tungsten, or the diamond wheel, as long as possible, because this new wheels are fairly expensive also. But luck had it that another guy on the used forum saw that I was buying this and contacted me and said, hey, I have 2 extra discs that I don't need. So I got 2 extra discs at a very fine low price, because he just had them in his drawer and had no use for them. So I got 2 extra discs, so I have for a long time, I guess thousands, I don't know how many tungsten you can grind on one disc, but I guess it's many. From what I can see, the guy I got it from hasn't changed the wheel, and I haven't changed the wheel, and I cannot see any wear on the disc in there. So that's cool. So I will move this to the outer position again. This drum thing you're moving, you can see when it can move in and out. So you can see if I lift the disc, I can move it in and out to set the correct location. So that's there, and that's 35, 40, 45. So it's a fairly smart way to and it doesn't use a lot of space. It's for me a compact machine in the size, and it's coming in this suitcase with all the stuff. The only thing that's not coming is that I got the extra discs, and I added a 8mm wrench key, because that make the things easier. So yeah, in the bottom area here you can see there's a air filter, so it's filtering away all the stuff that's coming. It's falling down, but the airflow is coming via the filter here, and you can move this ball away here and clean the filter, or you can buy new filters, and they don't seem to be expensive. I believe the airflow from the machine is getting into the housing this way, so there's a flow path in here to get the air in, and then it's getting this way out with the air, and that will suck down the tungsten dust that's coming off the machine. So yeah, so there's the tungsten holder and extra collets. There's some tools when you need to take things apart, the discs and so on. There's this Allen key for holding here, and then there's another Allen key that's used over here. I'll show you in a moment. To correctly align the if we take this tungsten, yeah, you have to align it in the length correctly, so it's only grinding the tip and not taking too much off. They have actually been fairly clever in the design, because this has a nut here that you can twist, and it will grab on the tungsten. But if you see here, the bolt that's holding the head on is used to align and lock the tungsten into the collet. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a big bolt here, and in the bottom there's a bolt coming from the other side. So here, this is not holding anything. That's an adjustment bolt for the length. So how it's working is that you're putting this in like this, and then you turn, and then it has corrected the length of the tungsten to fit in here. So it's only grinding what is needed. I have found that just putting in and locking and releasing here is slightly turning this bolt loose, and it loses its so I have added a 8mm key, so I am only so you put it in here, this way, and then I just lock it up with my extra Allen key, and then I grind it, and when I'm finished I use this one for releasing. So I use this one down here only for just pointing setting the correct location of where the tungsten is need to be grinded. But yeah, so much talk. Let's try the machine. So I have now, let's take that, I have some tungsten here. Sorry for the noise in advance, because a router like this is making a hell of a lot of noise, so I will try to speak up, but I don't know if you can hear me. So I normally put in the tungsten almost in, and then turn the machine on, and then I turn it. The blue color is from before that I used tungsten in the welder. It got the blue color from there. But you can see the grinding on this tip is, I don't know if you can see it. Maybe it's too close to the camera. Oh, it is fine, and it is at the correct distance. It has only taken off just what it needed to take off the tungsten. So the tungsten, if I use the bench grinder or something, it will cost more materials of the tungsten each time you grind it. But on this machine, it's only taking off what it needs to get it at the pointed tip. So then I can release it this way. And now this is ready for use. I can put in another one here. You can see that's grinded flat and also has a little blue on it. So putting that in, a slight locking. You can see when I put in the tungsten, I don't know if you can see it with the light, but it's now touching the disc, and you can see it has this gap here. That's the distance it uses to grind off. So that's the thing when this handle get into this surface and this gap is gone. I don't know if you can see it. The gap here, this gap here in this area here. So when turning this, it will grind in and the gap will be at this point, and the tungsten will be sharpened, so it's only used to this. I'll try to see if I can hold it up here to you. Oh, also maybe. I'll try to do it here so you can better see the tungsten grinding. Sorry for the noise. So you can see perfect, just as the other one. Again, the blue is not coming from this grinding machine, it's coming from the when I used it on the welder. Too little gas, I guess. So, releasing. Now I'll try to take another size tip. Let's go for the small one. For the small one, I have bent some of them when grinding on the grinding stone, because when holding up the wheel in this direction and grinding to get it correctly aligned and so on, sometimes it's kicked the wheel if there was some dent in it or something, and this just bent. So I have some that's unusable because they are bent, but in this holder they will not be bent, so that's extra safety. And also if the if you're holding tungsten like this on a grinding wheel, if it kicks, you can get it in here. I don't know if anyone has done that, but it's a possible injury you can get when using a grinding wheel. So getting it into this system like this, I'm sure that make it a lot more safe, because it is contained inside. And yeah, so to align it again, and then just lock it. I have noticed if I don't lock it semi-hard, then the vibration and movement and the stones and so on, it can loosen itself, and the tungsten moves up, and then yeah, the grinding result is not very good. So I don't know if you can see this. Maybe on my dirty finger it's better. It's just as it's needed to be. So here's another tungsten, 3.2 millimeters, a bit bigger one. I believe you can align them up to the 4 millimeter size in here. So that's it. I think this is a super cool machine. That I'm glad that I bought this machine for a number of reasons. The normal price in Denmark is something like 6 to 7,000 Danish kroner, and I got it for 2,000 Danish kroner. And I can see that don't need to have the bench grinder standing on and taking up space. I can now sell that for maybe 500 Danish and don't need to buy a diamond wheel for it that costs 1,000 kroner. So for me, getting this one used is a good deal. The new price, I think, is way too much. It's, yeah, it should be around half. This is just a aluminium block that has been milled on the machine. Surely this the grinder here, the router itself, maybe 500 Danish kroner, and from 7,000 to 500, the rest is in this head. So that's 6,500 kroner in the suitcase and the stuff there. Maybe the suitcase is coming with it's even the same color as the box, so maybe they got the suitcase from there. So you just need the foam and the head. So, but if you can get the one used, I will advise to get one, because I think it's a good idea. I love that the tungsten fine dust thing is saved inside here, so you don't have to be wary of the dust in the area and so on. The system to adjust it so it's the correct length and using the disc on more than one place seems to be a good idea. Someone has been thinking on how to do this. I've been maybe thinking on removing this part and making so there could be a vacuum cleaner sit on, but it's depending on how, if it's blowing air in and then out again, you just maybe it's need the air for cooling, but it's taking that from the other places also here, so yeah. So I guess what will be wearing down at first is maybe the coal blocks getting to the motor in here and in here, but I'm sure you're gonna find some replacement blocks. And also the sizes that's here. I think I'll have to buy some extra sizes. And you can also buy extra handle. So maybe I will get an extra one so I don't have to change it. I don't know. It's more a convenience thing than it's an issue. It's taking maybe slightly longer to grind on this machine than using a bench grinder, where you can just let it run and then have a pile of tungsten you need to sharpen and then move them over. But I think this tungsten grinding here is super in the I don't know how good they look on the screen there. Only thing I am missing a bit is the way to, maybe if you got a lot of contamination on one tungsten, to cut it or to grind it flat on the tip. So I don't know if I can hack this to have a hole over here where you can put this in and touch the disc, and yeah. It would be nice if there was some way you can put them in and grind them flat, so you can get the commentation of the tungsten tips. So that's it, I think. Let's see if any. Yeah, here's the sizes for the college you can get. So 1, 1, 6, 2, 2, 4, 3, 2 and 4 millimeters. But it's only the 1, 6, 2, 4 and 3, 2 collet that's coming with the machine. There's a exploded diagram of how it's working. You can see there's just a normal router, and then they have built this head around it. So there's just some CNC parts, aluminium, and then some adjustment screws. They have a spring over there for the adjustment screw, and a locking screw, and the back cap here for the filter. And a part list, so if you need new parts for it. Yeah. So in my book, this is a thumbs up. I'm very glad that I got this machine, and it's even got this small plastic bag for removing the air filter when you have to dispose it with all the tungsten powder inside to get there. So this was my overview and review of this Neutrix tungsten grinder. I will in maybe here on the screen with text, or in the text field below this video, try and list all the different brandings of and OEM versions of this machine. So if you can get this name with Migatronic, because this is in Denmark and mostly Europe, I think. It's sold under many other brand names, and the good thing about that is that the spare parts and so on, it's the same. So if you're in the market for a new tungsten grinder, or even thinking about one, I can definitely say this is a good one. I've seen many of the other ones on the net. I haven't seen them live, so I can't say much about them, but it seems to be less professional in design. It seems to be smaller hobby spindles and so on they are built on, and this, I like this a lot. It seems to be a good, well built. It's a bit heavy and fills some extra space when you're having but again, the grinding machine, the bench grinder, is using more space for me, so this is not a big deal for this one. Yeah, so this was my video of this machine. So thank you for watching, and subscribe to my channel if you like my videos and so on, and make a comment below if there's anything you want. I can try and answer it. Thank you. Bye.